All right, guys, welcome back to the Social Distance Podcast. On this week's show, we've got George back, finally. So we've got rid of Sam Bennett and we've got the real Bennett back, George Bennett. We talk about his Nationals victory. We talk about my recovery from the wrist and that I'm back on the road. Jonesy tells another punishing story that will get everybody laughing. And we talk about one of the most boring years in history, but still marginally better than 2020. So enjoy the show and remember to like, share, and listen to all that stuff. Social distance.
Well, they're already listening.
Yeah, well, listen again. Tell someone else to listen. Subscribe to YouTube. Give us 5 stars. Like our social media, Social Distance Podcast on Instagram, the Social Dist Pod 1 on Twitter. Love you all. See ya.
Thanks for the help with the intro, George.
Well, I just didn't really know what we're doing.
Neither did I. I don't really know what we're doing either.
I felt a bit hypnotised by Sam's really animated.
Literally, do you want me to show? Do you want me to show you? All right,
no,
ready?
That's it. I just.
Okay, why don't we all take a stab at the intro and we'll see who does it best.
Okay.
Well, why don't we try it where we feed off each other? Like I'll say a quick bit, then throw to you, then you.
I reckon
we'll
the truth.
Talk about the intro. All right, boys. What do we talk about? Okay, Social Distance Podcast episode. What are we number now?
All right, do you want me to do it? All right, I'll show you how it's done. All right.
All right.
Hey guys, no, you cut me off. Hey guys, welcome to the Social Distance Podcast, 3rd episode for 2021, a year marginally better than 2020. We're going to be chatting with the national champion from New Zealand. George Bennett is back on the show. Bewls is also back on the bike. Did you want to say something, George?
Well, don't talk to me like I'm a guest.
Don't patronise me.
I said you're back on the show.
Anyway, subscribe, like, and share.
I'm reluctantly back on the show.
And we talk about Spiegel, Legend of Ballend, and a year that is really, really boring. Let's roll the new credits.
Well, we also touch on it. We also give some great advice. We give some great advice to the listeners too.
Yeah, we give some great advice. Like, share, subscribe.
And we try a new intro.
Like, share, subscribe.
That was shit. All right, George.
Just play that.
Crack.
All right, I'll have a crack. Oh, fuck, I don't want to have a crack anymore.
That was good.
I'm not prepared for this.
This is going to be a good one. I can sense it.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And we're fucking G.
Are we?
Ah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Well, you can't impeach somebody that's doing a great job. From Suchin Tendulkar.
Bruce
Gigolo.
George Bennett, you deserve this, big fella.
What's that salute?
He's put the finger straight through the one ply.
We try and create a comfortable environment. There's no bullshit.
There's just so many of them, aren't there, though, that just don't like it.
Nelson, be proud. Yeah, baby.
What an honour.
What an honour. George made the intro.
Yeah.
Jeez. Normally the last intro was just focused on me, on just describing how much of a dick I was.
You had a splash of dick in there when you're going, why are we excited? But you do seem excited this time. You just needed a spell like any good racehorse.
What about Jonesy? Yeah. What about you, Jonesy, in that intro? And you sound like an absolute pest, like, this is going to be a good one. What was that about? I don't even remember that.
I was scrambling at the end. I think I said it pre one of the shows. And then, it was just to build it up. I can cut that bit out, though.
Hey,
welcome back, George.
Interesting to be back on the show. Thanks. You guys did a pretty good job, actually. I have to say I listened to my first ever Social Distance podcast when I wasn't on there. And, geez, I took a hiding.
That's because we were sure you wouldn't be listening.
I made the mistake of tuning in, and I spent 40 minutes just getting absolutely battered. It was quite a good episode, I thought. This was with Durbo. And
you should have said the stuff we cut out of the show.
Well, fortunately, my AirPods went flat, and I didn't hear the last 20 minutes, but I had a lot of messages going from a lot of people, actually, and a lot of comments going, geez, the wheels fell off. So what happened in the last 20 on that first episode?
The wheels fell off massively. Because what happened was Jonesy and I were isolated. So we started the show with Durbo. We're used to having 3 people on the panel. We're used to, we're creature comforts. We've always got you here to, bring in some negative undertone if necessary. And there was a moment where all of a sudden Durbo was gone. It was just Jonesy and I, and we were looking at each other like, what the fuck do we do?
Yeah, we're freaking out.
We lost it. So we actually
Have you ever had that situation? Like, when you're like with a mate and you're used to hanging out with, there's always a person, in a friend group, and you're always hanging out with them as a, as part of a group or whatever, and then suddenly you're just with them and you're like, oh, I actually don't really know this person.
Yeah, I think they call that a third wheel. If you get stuck with the third wheel, then it's suddenly like, you want to wrap this up, mate? I'm sort of a bit tired, eh? And you just got to shut it down.
During the lockdown, we were having these Team Green Edge pubs, like the riders, when we were in home confinement, like once a week or once every 2 weeks, we'd get all the riders on a Zoom call and we'd have a beer and we'd talk shit for a couple of hours. And one of those days were like 20 of us at the start, and the numbers went down and down and down till about 4 of us, and it was me, Impy, Albacini, and can't remember who the fourth one was. And then at a certain point, everybody left, and it was just me and Daz, and we were like, "All right, see you, Alba, see ya." And then it was just me and Daz, and it was like for 30 seconds, like, I suppose we should just go as well. This is pretty weird.
But what we stuffed up in that first step back was we focused too much on the negative. So the last half hour, like one of my mates listened to it. He said, "Mate, why did you just keep talking about negative shit the whole time? After a while, people believe it. It was shit house." I was like,
"Oh, good,
okay."
When you lose your confidence, and then you go, "This is terrible," and it's a downward spiral.
Last step, we held our own. I thought, just the two of us. Like, we didn't focus on the negatives. You obviously didn't listen to that one, George.
No. Well, I just feel like there's a lot of confusion involved with Sam Bennett, George Bennett. I just feel like there's a good placeholder there for me. Did you touch on the confusion between me and Sam and how often people get it confused? I remember I've how many people have thought that I've won the green jersey in the tour is amazing, and how many people think that he's a GC rider is also incredible. I mean, I won the other day. So George Bennett won Irish Sportsman of the Year, and I thought that was pretty amazing. And I was sitting there on the beach in New Zealand, and I was like chilling out, and I looked on Twitter finally, and I went on the apps, and it was this thing from like BBC Ireland or something, and it was like, congratulations, George Bennett, Irish Sportsman of the Year, cycling or something. I was like,
it does happen a lot, doesn't it? But like, if you're a cycling reporter that makes that mistake, it's purely it must be a habitual thing, because they know who both of you are.
Did you hear the real humiliator one in the I think it was in the Tour or in the Vuelta? No, it was in the Vuelta, and the press agent. Oh, maybe it was the Tour. One of them. Maybe it was the Tour. It was the Tour, and we were starting off on a flat day after day 4 or something, whatever, and they were talking to Primoz, and I'd wondered why they'd asked me to stay behind for an interview that day. At the start they say, "Oh, can you stay for interview? We want to interview you." And it was a flat sprinter stage, and they said, "Oh, George, we want to talk to you today." So that's weird. Okay, fine, whatever, I'll do it. And they also wanted to Primoz, and then they sat there with Primoz, and they're like, "All right, Primoz, a bit of wind today, but obviously it's a really good chance for George to win the stage."
Oh no.
As well. So how are you gonna balance, team ambitions? And he said, he was quite funny. He said, it's it is a bit windy and dangerous. I think Georgie might suffer a bit today, but we'll see how he goes.
I do remember that. They thought, but how can they get that wrong?
I don't know.
There's some classic journos out there. I remember there was this one real weird dude when Lance was there, and he sort of, English wasn't his first language, but you sort of thought you knew where his brain was going, but then he just blurted out. It wasn't even a question. I remember one day, the bus was so packed, and he goes, Lance, how do you feel about all this, And Lance is like, fuck you talking about? He goes, you caused this shit. And like the whole press are pissing themselves off and go, mate, you're not even asking a fucking question. Like,
just a statement.
Pushed to the front to say, you caused this shit. He's like, fuck are you talking about? Like, there's always one in that bunch.
I'm struggling with the journos at the moment, with the New Zealand non-cycling journos, like the media, because they want to do stories, and this happened to me twice in the last week. And like one of them was the sports news, and they after the nationals, they said, "Oh, I want to do an interview and stuff." I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, I'll do it." And I was in the airport, had a bit of time, and Auckland airport was empty. There was one flight going out of the whole airport because all the stuff got cancelled. Everything was just we're the only flight, and so I was and I said, "Yeah, I'll do it when I get to the airport. I've got a bit of time." And the whole story now, everything is just the corona angle. So the journalists are like, for the sports news, instead of going, let's talk about the race. It was great. How's it? What does it mean to wear the jersey? Any question sports related, it was, can you show me around the airport? And do you think? And then an email afterwards, can you do a montage of you traveling with a mask? And and they're just trying to like play up the drama of just like,
that's
COVID's COVID. We're sick of it. Let's people also want to hear about sport. Like,
what do you want to do? Fly across the world, taking multiple selfies of yourself wearing a mask,
and play it up and be like, this is now a third world. This is like a war zone over here. We're dodging bacteria. You're like, fuck off.
Yeah. Well, it was like a war zone. It was like a war zone last night. Yeah. Fucking.
Oh yeah, what's going on? What's
they're rioting again? They arrested some rapper.
So that is sport. That's public sport for Spain. Rioting is like
I love it.
The football, cycling, and rioting. That's their three pillars. That's their backbone of sport.
A riot for anything. There was a riot, or protests every week when I was living there.
Oh mate, but they've gone up a level since you left, DJ. They're like, it's got to
they're elite now. It's become a high performance thing. Marginal gains.
It's high performance writing. And the opposing team has shields and guns and battens these days and helmets.
Yeah, but I love when you sent through that video trying to look like this hard ass and you yell out to the police this high pitch fight.
Can we include that? Can we include that in the podcast? Can we cut it?
Yeah. All right, I'll insert it here.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Fight.
You would have said it and like jumped straight in case one cop turned around. You see this red dot like following like. Closet harder.
What's happened? I sort of missed the backstory on this one.
Oh, it's just that they arrested this. I think it was probably about a year ago that they arrested this Spanish rap singer who I don't know a lot about it. To be fair, I'm not going to get into the politics of it. But he just said some lyrics that they claim to be terrorism, domestic terrorism, inciting violence, and things like that against the monarch of Spain. So they gave him they gave him some time, and then he had to hand himself in on the 1st of January or something, and then he barricaded himself in a university and refused to hand himself in, and then eventually about 3 or 4 days ago, the police stormed the university and arrested him. So now everybody's protesting his arrest, and like they're kicking off, man. Like last night on my street, so I live like right opposite the Spanish government building, like it's within eye shot of me. So all the riots start there. So you see it like 6 o'clock at night, the big riot police start coming, getting prepared. And then last night about 8 o'clock, it kicked off. And had some people around for dinner, and we were just standing on the little terrace watching people light fires on my street, lighting rubbish bins on fire. There's a bank just around the corner. So their thing with this riot is let's smash up all the banks. So every single bank in town.
What have the banks got to do with it?
I guess, I don't know. Spanish government facility? I don't know.
And they love lighting up bins. Like it's never as if there's going to be a situation where they go, shit, man, now they've lit the bins, we need to just let this guy go. Because if those bins go, we're fucked.
They're going to run out of bins, though. I feel like daily they burn a bin. It's just such a pain. It's such an own goal. Let's burn a bin and make a point. But, oh, shit, now I've got nowhere to put my rubbish. And
then they smash up the banks and the ATM machines. And then they go, oh, fuck, I need to get some money out. Whew. Shouldn't have done that.
I understand. I get behind their right to, obviously awesome, good on you. But just, I don't know, just make it less admin. I don't know. Awesome? But do you know what? Instead of yelling fight from the top of your balcony, can you yell breach? Because I feel like
breach.
Breach. It's a social gathering of more than 4 people.
Yeah.
No riots they become a super spreader event.
Yeah. Exactly. Hey, so tell us about the Nationals, George. Like finally breaking through, mate. I saw an interview. Novi had to throw his hat in the mix, and it was a passive-aggressive comment, I thought, where he said, "I was a shame I wasn't there to defend it, but hats off to George." It's like, hey, where you going with this, Nobby? You reckon you could have gone back to back, mate? Bit of a hollow victory for old GB.
Yeah, just like it's good, but no one was there. Like
the flying mullet sort of little backhander.
No, I do feel for Nov not getting a shot, really, because he
would have beat.
He won it on a shit year.
Oh yeah,
he 100%.
He won it. He probably would have beaten me, but also he won it on a shit year. But then, you get the jersey, super excited to come to Europe, and a pandemic hits. I mean, I'm sure that was the least of the world's issues that he didn't get to wear the jersey in the World Tour often, but it's still shit for him. But yeah, the race was the race was bizarre, because what happened on the Friday was a time trial, and I told Bewls a week out, I was like, mate, I'm in shit here, like, because I started training a month later than normal, and I just wasn't on top of it. I never felt good. I did this test a week out, and it was like a time trial test, and I was like, oh, I'm not really on. It wasn't really hitting good numbers, all this shit. And then I just freshened up, and I got to the TT, and I didn't really give myself a heap of a chance, but I still rode like maybe my best, pacing time trial at least. And then, but I lost by 0.7 of a second. Like 0.7 of a second. It was 55 minutes, and you're like, oh my God, that is.
Was it a second between three of you, wasn't there?
Yes, exactly. I mean, the only comforting thing I took from that was that, two comforting things. One, Gatey won, and he's a legend. And two, Finn Fisher-Black, my teammate, he was in the under-23s. They wouldn't let him ride elites. And it was bullshit. They should have let him ride elites. He entered elites. They wouldn't, but he went faster than all of us by like 8 seconds. So, it was, in the end, he was the fastest guy. So, but anyway, so we got to Sunday, and I suddenly was like, oh, mate, maybe I'm all right here. And then we started the race. It was not a really hard course. It was just sort of small kickers. And after 50K, so there was a team, Black Spoke. They're a New Zealand Continental team. They could, they're sort of becoming the main, they're New Zealand's best team. They're the only continental team coming to Europe racing. But they have 15 or 16 guys on the start line or something. And we had me and Finn. And after 50K, I turned to Finn and I said, this is the worst race situation I've ever been in my life. Basically, like, should we call it a day now? We're stuffed. I think there was 10 of them in a group of 30, 5 minutes up the road. And me and Finn were back in the peloton. And everybody just looking at us, going, you guys going to chase? And we're like, what can we do? There's 10 of them, and they got 5 minutes. And I don't know how we saved it.
How'd you get them back then?
You take a shortcut.
You cheated.
I just took a lap out. I did the whole criterium thing, punctured, took a lap out, and hooked on the back of them.
So when did you start going, shit, hang on, I'm half a sniff here?
15K to go.
Yeah. So you got all back together then?
No, maybe 30K to go. So what happened was, luckily there was a couple of guys on the same page, and like New Zealand cyclists will know Michael Vink. He might not know, people might not know him internationally, but he was our biggest talent coming up kind of thing. And he just, never was wrong place, wrong time, whatever, just didn't make it overseas, struggled a bit overseas, but was always so strong in Europe. And he was having a day. And I said to this young guy from my town, I said, mate, can you just ride? I said to Tom Filmer, can you just ride like for the 10K before we hit the hill the next time? And then start as hard as you can up the hill. It was like a 3-minute hill or something. And he did, and that just held them at 4.5, 5 minutes. But he did the first minute of the hill, and I arrogantly thought, yeah, I'm just going to go as hard as I can up this hill, and there'll be a couple of guys left, and we'll go. And I did the first minute full gas, sat down, realized there were still 10 guys on my wheel. And then by the top of the hill, they were all passing me, and I was going backwards, and I went, now I'm really in trouble. But it split the race up, and then basically me and Finn just took turns at attacking, and I got away with 2 guys. And this was halfway through the race, and then we just chased and chased and chased. 3 guys just chased, and Vink was just pulling these crazy strong turns. And it was quite hot. And I think they just really got it wrong in front, and there was just this mass capitulation in front. And then finally, with like just under a lap to go, we reached the front, and there were still 20 guys, and they were all fresh as hell, and we were rooted. And then then it was just race on. Then we were all on sort of, I never got worse, and everybody just sort of suffered in the heat. And then it wasn't. I ran out of hills. I couldn't get rid of anyone. Like, we got down to 5 guys, and then there was no hills left. And there was one like kicker, like literally like a maybe 30 meters elevation, and I just took a flyer on that and got just enough of a gap to put people off. And then they looked at each other, and then once they looked at each other, it was gone. They just stopped pedaling basically, and got 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I don't know. Yeah, crazy.
After the race, do you have to look after those guys that bloke from your hometown that pulled turns? Like, what do you give him? Like a couple of slabs or?
Yeah, I said to him, we just had a bit of a house. Well, not a house party, but I just went and bought
Bridge.
Just went and bought. We had some good wine, some beers, heaps of pizzas. Had everyone around.
Yeah. What flavour pizza do you have?
Flavored beers. No, these little creatures.
Little creatures. Pale ale.
Yeah. Quite good, eh?
Yeah,
not bad. Bit fruity.
From Geelong, aren't they, little creatures?
Yes.
Are they? I thought they were Wellington.
Well, I think they're from Western Australia originally, and they moved to Geelong, and now there's one in Auckland.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so now we've got the debacle of the great Jersey debacle.
So what's the go? What's the Jersey debacle?
Argu and the team produced this amazing jersey. Man, it was just the coolest jersey. And then Caitlin did a couple of tiny little touches, and we were like, so sweet. We were all excited. We emailed Bike NZ like, hey guys, we're really proud to show you that this is the jersey we'll be wearing this year. And Bike NZ were like, no. Well, what do you mean?
Why?
And they said, because it was a cool jersey. It was black with a white fern, with a silver fern. And they said, we're too worried that it's going to get confused with the national jersey. And I was like, oh, what, in case the national team start the Giro d'Italia? Like,
who cares?
And they just shut it down so hard. And so we went to the UCI, and they basically told the UCI, no, we've registered a white jersey with a black fern, and they just crushed it. And then now we ended up with the jersey's all right. It's just it's not strike, like it was an awesome striking jersey that just looked so cool. And just people just bureaucracy that they just wanted everyone to stay in their lane.
Do you know what you should do?
What?
Riot.
Yes, burn a bin.
Burn a bin.
You're going to burn my rubbish bin. If I burnt my rubbish bin.
Well, what about when Michael Jordan?
By the way, just hang on. I was trying to distance myself from that comment. I'm not inciting violence. It was a joke.
Yeah.
Well, what about the light up there, mate? I'm on the top of a mountain by myself.
What about the story, Georgia, when Michael Jordan first wore those black sneakers in the NBA game, and the NBA said, "You're not going to wear those. You're going to get a $10,000 fine." And he goes, "Okay, cop the fine." Sold out of Air Jordan 1s. You might be if you just protest, yeah.
Well, no, but then they went to the UCI, and the UCI got it quite explicitly in writing that if you wear this, you'll be sanctioned. And we kind of went, because the UCI.
Imagine if you wore that sitting on your top tube.
With my hands, sitting on my top tube with my hands in the middle of the bars.
Throwing a bottle.
But the UCI, the problem is that we were like, we're not going to mention the UCI because last year we had this debacle in the team so we've had a couple of ex-world champ. We got Tom Dumoulin and Tony Martin were both ex-TT world champs. And on their skin suit, they had these, if you're the world champion, you forever on your jersey have just the world champs bands around. If you're not the current world champ, but it doesn't matter, you still have these bands. And on our skin suit, the bands, there was a little gap. They didn't, on the inside of the arm, you couldn't even see, but the bands didn't go the whole way around. Like they pretty much did, but there's a little gap at the joint of the seam or something. And every race we started, those guys started, every single time trial, the two of them started, they got 2,000 Swiss francs. So it just became this ridiculous thing there's some dickhead walking around looking at gaps on bands and sock heights and this and that. Meanwhile, we're, hooning down finish straights with fucking road dividers in the middle. And you just think like, I don't know. it just seems we're focused on the wrong thing, aren't we? Like we're putting too
right?
much energy into controlling kits and this and that. When it stands in the way of progression. Like make something that looks awesome. People like it. Get kids excited about it. Like how cool was Rolly's jersey? Because I said to Bike and Z, I said, oh, like, man, Rolly had the most sick jersey in HCC. It was black with his white print. And then the next year, in 2013, we were on Radio Shack, he had a national champs jersey. And it was bloody red, white, and blue. It wasn't even nothing to do with black and white. And they just said, oh, he didn't ask us. He didn't run that past us. So I was like, well, if I just run it, yeah, I shouldn't have asked. I should have asked for forgiveness afterwards. But
well, it's funny, the 2,000 Swiss franc fine. That's what Green Edge got fined for smashing the bus into the finish line. So you think smash a bus into the finish line and almost hold up the world's biggest race on the opening stage on their 100th anniversary, or don't join those little bands? Exactly the same.
Same thing.
Exactly the same. And they valued the advertising at like $60 million, like US dollars, or because it was like back page. Yeah, there was back page of the New York Times, and you got Orica everywhere, and Vittel Water Company. They said they got huge advertising out of it.
Really? Do you think that that'll be something that people start doing? You know, like how like you often see like the smaller French teams go into like breakaways on days, which are just, there's no point in going to breakaway. It's going to be a sprint finish, but you get 4 guys from the teams go up the road and they say, it's sponsors on TV, it's good advertising, whatever. Do you think that there will ever be a point where people are so hungry for things that they'll just start doing real erratic, controversial, from within the team, just for publicity?
It should.
It's interesting that you bring this up, George, because 2 episodes ago when you weren't here,
we
touched on the economics of cycling, and
that was the last 20 minutes you didn't watch. That's where it all really went downhill.
Listeners, did you lose that episode? Jesus. Economics of cycling. Fucking hell.
Jonesy asked me if the teams with COVID would be able to fund overseas training camps or something.
Good question. Not the right show.
No. Not the right person to ask.
I'm almost leave right now.
But Bewls, to his credit, the first half of it, the answer, his brain was going to answer it, and then he got halfway through and he just goes, fuck Fono. Like, what are you asking me this for? And that's where it all went downhill. And I was like, you're dead right. What was I thinking? And that's because you weren't there, George. You weren't there to level us out.
I'll tell you what, it was good having a break though. Shit, it was good.
Shit, yeah. How was it? It must have been so good to get off that plane in Auckland.
No, it wasn't that good getting off the plane.
Go into a hotel for 2 weeks. It must have been good to get out of that hotel after 2 weeks.
Waking up at 0800 hours.
Take that mask off. And then be like,
we had this thing, like when I wanted to go at the end of last year, we were humming and hawing about going home or not back to New Zealand. And people that don't know, if you go to New Zealand, you go to 2 weeks in a managed isolation hotel. And I was real negative about it, like, oh, I don't want to go. My mates are here. I was really really against going home. And Caitlin, my partner, was really for it. And I said to her, like, we'll do whatever you want to do. Like, I'll support it. But low key to myself, I was like, oh, not into this. Anyway, she was all like, yeah, it's going to be great. Well, don't worry, we'll get there. It'll be fine. We'll do this. We'll do this. Anyway, so I accepted my fate. We were going home. We get there day one. In her head, we were going in one of the districts and, you can go outside. There's a workout area, whatever. It's all okay. We end up in Auckland in this tiny room with 0 opportunities to go outside, and there was, suddenly reality hit on day one. And we swapped roles. I became this positive, like, oh, we're in New Zealand now. We've done the worst of it. And she just had a real reality check. And I went, oh, this is going to be a long 2 weeks. And because she was trying to run. So I was all right. I was doing 20 hours a week on a bike. But she literally just had to sit in the room. And then eventually we started getting these like 30-minute slots every second day or something. You could go out and walk around this thing that was no bigger than my living room. And you had to walk around in this circle. And it was just
it's like the yard. It's like the yard in a prison.
Yeah, exactly. But it's way smaller. But then once that was away, man, I can't believe I ever doubted going home. For me, it was so good. I mean, I only had 6 weeks, but it's pretty crazy that there is life there that's just not like, man, people don't even, it's not even a thing. Like, straight away I went to a wedding, and there's a moment I was looking around the wedding and everyone was, random people were hooking up in the corner and sweating everywhere and whatever, whatever goes on at a wedding.
Nice.
And I was just thinking, I just don't know if I'm quite. I just felt like a bit sort of shell shocked.
You're not even allowed dance floors at weddings here, I don't think. Or you weren't.
I don't think you're allowed weddings, eh?
Yeah, but I don't think so. Huh? No, maybe
You
not.
can't kiss the bride. That'd be
No.
a breach.
Bridge.
Mm. So,
Speaking of Caitlin Field of Fine Art, she cleaned up as well in her race.
Yeah, it was a good weekend for us.
Yeah, it was a good weekend.
She nearly won overall in your hometown.
Yeah.
First run back in a year. So it's good for
for
her. Yeah. But no, New Zealand was good, mate. But it's pretty weird coming back here because one thing that's weird is I'm at the top of a mountain and it's shorts and t-shirt almost riding here in February, which is quite strange. Second thing is there's a massive sandstorm on the way.
We had one last week or 2 weeks ago before you got here. Big sandstorm.
Okay.
Like Andorra was literally looked like the Sahara Desert. So that's where the sand's coming from, the Sahara Desert.
Is that why I've got all the shit on I've got like a West Indies cricket pitch now on my terrace. I've got a terrace where I have set up a bit of a backyard cricket setup, and that last sandstorm's turned into a subcontinent pitch. There's just a lot of turn on there now with that sand.
I actually put a post on our social media, the Social Distance Podcast social media, that you wouldn't have seen, George, because you probably don't follow us or listen to the show, or sometimes don't even come to the show. But I did put a photo up of Andorra and that snowstorm a week ago. So that's what you're in for. Go to our social distance. So what you do is go on Instagram. You've got Instagram, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So open the app and then find us, the Social Distance Podcast. Follow, and then.
Are you in control of that? So I got to follow this.
Well, I'm in control of the Instagram and the Twitter, but every now and again I wake up in the morning and there's this rogue tweet on our Twitter, and I realise that Jonesy's got the password.
Jonesy's been on the piss and starts tweeting.
I think both of you guys rogue tweet from Jonesy.
Well, both of you guys need a breathalyzer on your phone. Like before you can social media, you need to blow into your phone.
Hang on. I haven't put any tweets out that I've looked back and gone, geez, I need to pull my head in. Whereas at one point there for Bewls, that was bloody weekly.
Do you remember when I was having to message him and be like, mate, take that down?
Oh, mate. What about when he'd start messaging Johan Brunel going, hey, Johan, what are you doing? You want to come on the show? And I'm like, what are you doing?
And then he said yes. He said yes, and Bewls was like, nah, sorry.
He's like, bro, I saw you took the tweet down. You still want me? It's like, radio silence.
Nah, sorry, I was real drunk. I thought it'd be a good idea.
You're talking to that other guy. Yeah. Oh, it's classic. But
right,
you haven't done it in a while, so
that social media did get George backfired me, didn't it?
Yeah.
Really
so have we got an agenda for today? Have we got anything to talk about?
Hey, so we had a big protest in Melbourne today because they're starting to roll out the anti-vaccines, or they're starting on Monday.
The anti-vaccines. What are they doing? Rolling out the middle-aged mums that have got YouTube. What are they rolling out?
I put him in notes. In my notes, anti-vaxxers. I'm going, oh yeah, mention that. Yeah, they're rolling out. No, they're rolling out the vaccines.
They're rolling out the anti-vaccine. It's Karen.
Yeah, Karen from Brighton. She's going to be the spokesperson for it. But the anti-vaxxers have come out in force today because they're obviously, going to start it on Monday. And I was just saying to Bewls before we started, there's a massive difference between Aussie cops and the cops in the States. Like there was these people marching and all that, and there was only maybe 20 cops, and all they're armed with is just that little tin of pepper spray. And this one guy is just shitting himself, just spraying anyone old Betsy walking her dog. She copped a bit of foam in her face, just freaking the fuck out. And in America, it's just double pump. Fucking who wants some? Oh, mate, they were losing their shit. But then,
why? I don't get why you'd protest. If you're an anti-vaxxer, why do you have to protest? Just don't have the vaccine. Just don't get it.
Exactly.
Shut up.
I know.
I just thought that this would be the death of the anti-vaxxer. I was like, surely this pandemic is the death of the anti-vaxxer.
No.
Well, it might be.
Well, yeah, they might. It actually might be the literal death of the anti-vaxxer.
Yeah. But didn't they say that if they don't vaccinate a certain population of the of the you know what I mean?
You're having a stroke.
So, I don't know. I went for my first run in 6 months before, and now I've got that fat man post run fog. If they don't hit 60% or 70%, it's not even worth doing.
Yeah, you do. You do need
immunity
percentage.
They'll get that, won't they?
Oh, you
Off-
think so?
Off on a topic, which I remember thinking of your Fat Man Run, Fog.
Mm.
Jules, you're back on the road.
Back on the road, mate. 2 days. I've done 2 days. I finally got the wrist set free. Look, check it out.
And you've got like you look, your wrist, I reckon I'd beat you in the wrist department.
Oh, mate, it's a girl's wrist. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's sexist. It's a wrist that's small.
Oh, that's a fair scar, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a scar. It's 3 months. Well, actually, it was short of 3 months in the end. So initially, the surgeon said it was going to be 3 months in a cast for it to recover. And I went to the hospital 2 days ago, which was, I guess, like 10 and a half weeks post-surgery. And they said, no, mate, you're good to go. Take the cast off and start training. So I started training 2 days ago to 2 hours. Yesterday to 3 hours. Today I'm going to do 4 hours.
Was it an emotional moment saying goodbye to the cast, Bewls?
It actually was a bit emotional. Like when I walked in there, the surgeon was like, you can start training again. And I was a bit like, for a second there, I was like, oh, fuck, it's over.
I don't know if I want to. You're like,
yeah. I was a bit like,
really
I've got Stockholm syndrome with like not training. You know, where you like fall in love with the tractor. I'm in love with the tax trainer, and I was just like a bit like, look, it's been it's actually been a hard few months, and I was like, fuck, it's over. Like, well, at least this part of it's over. So yeah, back on the road now, but I enjoyed doing a lot of running. I ran a half marathon in the trails about 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I started this process with an injured wrist and ended it with an injured knee. So it's been good. It's been successful.
It's a good transition.
Hey, just on riding bikes, right? This is I don't ride bikes, but I don't understand this shit. Is why they banned this tuck position? Like, I get they're saying it's dangerous and that, but you look at other sports. I mean, look at NASCAR or whatever. I mean, they're spinning cars out and driving 400 clicks an hour. People aren't going, oh yeah, shit, let's do the same. Like, isn't there a difference between?
They've lumped two things in together. That's the problem. They've lumped riding like this with your hands on the bars, with your elbows, forearms rested on the handlebars. They've lumped that in together with an aero tuck, which will weigh it's like lumping in, in NASCAR, not wearing a helmet and not being able to drive backwards around the course. They're different issues.
It's like what happened is that the riders have demanded some safety, an updating of the safety of cycling. Like,
have you got a burp to come out, Bewls?
Yeah, I did a little bit there, sorry. Like better barriers, just some things. Obviously, we've seen the crashes like Jakobsen at the Tour of Poland last year. Maybe the better barriers could have, avoided such serious injury. Who knows? But anyway, we've asked to change things. So the UCI has gone, okay, yeah, for sure. We need to make some changes to the courses, to the finish lines, all that stuff. But at the same time, they've also gone, yeah, but fuck, we don't really want to take the full responsibility. So we'll make these guys do something as well.
It's like in a relationship when you're like, oh, I don't know if this is, if we can keep going like this. And, you've asked someone to change and they've gone, oh, well, we can make changes, but it's you that's got to change. It's lazy. It's lazy governing. They've gone, oh, we could take the dividers, the curb dividers out of the finishing straight, but maybe you guys just don't do the aero tuck, and then we'll get a bit more revenue from finding you every time you do it.
It's like your girlfriend saying to you, look, you need to change. You need to drink less, and then you go, yeah, that's fine. I accept that. So the way we'll make this change is you'll drink more than me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you just drink more, and the ratio.
If you drink more than me, then I'm drinking less than you.
Yeah. But do you find that after last year, like most people just in this sort of angry mood, like if 2020 didn't happen and people say at the UCI were like in a better state, they'd probably go, oh yeah, we'll make those tweets, no worries. Whereas now it's this sort of underlying, let's burn a fucking bin sort of, let's amp this stuff,
There is a bin burning vibe around the world, isn't there? In general. Yeah.
There is. Well, do you blame people really? Again, I'm not inciting violence, but it's been 12 months, especially over here, of lockup after lockup after restriction after restriction.
Yeah.
No university, no work. People are out of money. They're fucking bored.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's probably people wanting to protect their jobs. So some guy there's gone, I've got 15 pages on this tuck. Like, let's go. I need to spend 6 months on this. And they're like, okay, no worries. And then he goes, all right, what's the next thing? So soon, sock height was a big thing for a while there or whatever. They'll think of something. It's never going to end.
Yeah.
But to their credit, also they are making some good fundamental changes that needed to happen on the road.
Yeah, we're not giving credit. We're into building rubbish bins.
Yeah,
that's it.
All right. So what's our year and who's our LLB?
What do you want to kick off year, Bewls?
Well,
we need to explain the segment better. Remember, we've been rushing into it. So
yeah, true. So the year that we do for those new listeners is we came up with every episode we do a year that's supposed to be marginally better than 2020. So obviously 2020 is the worst year that we've all faced, probably. So we tried to put a positive spin on it and talk about years that were better than 2020.
Which is every year.
Which is every year up until.
Well, no, there wasn't. Remember, we found that one year that was way worse.
Well, it was like 1892 or something.
Yeah,
it was a real
plague
stinker.
Yeah, fucking real shocker.
The world was rooted that year.
The 40s were rough as well, but we don't talk about them. So we base it from 1950 to not 2020. That's what we.
Jack the Ripper was delivering milk cartons. It was shocking.
Yeah. So this week, we're going to focus on 1992 for no other reason than it's just a year that was before 2020.
I'll tell you what. About 6 minutes before we logged on, I looked at 1992. I'll tell you what. 1992 might have been better than 2020, but shit, it was boring. Nothing happened in 1992. What the hell? Did 1992 even happen? What a terrible...
Mate, I had a great year. 11-year-old, I was loving it.
As I look at my notes of 1992, I think...
Well,
not a lot happened.
Mate, I can remember 92 going to the cinemas with my old man and watching White Man Can't Jump. And I was into basketball. Michael Jordan was killing it. And I was begging Dad, come on, can we go see this basketball movie? And he's like, oh, yeah, right. He drags me along. Man, every second word was, fuck this. Like, there's swearing galore, right? Like, it was for obviously adults. And I remember afterwards we left the cinema. He goes, hey, don't tell your mum we went and saw that. Don't you dare. And I can't remember going to school that Monday just dropping F-bombs left, right, and centre.
You went thinking it was Space Jam.
No,
it was the Martian. Marvin the Martian doing dunks from MJ.
Mate, that was awesome. And then Miley Cyrus Bewls was born that year. Achy breaky heart.
Was she?
Her old man, had a good year in 92.
Billy
Ray. Yeah. Neymar was born in 92 as well.
Was he?
The first big
day.
The
only thing of note that happened though was the riots, LA riots.
Yeah. The Bosnian War started.
Yeah.
The EU was formed. They signed the treaty, the Maastricht Treaty. Prince Charles and Diana divorced. Diana and Charles divorced.
Oh yeah.
Well, the big day out started in Australia, and Nirvana came out and performed there, and that was just like 2 or 3 weeks before they released Nevermind. So that was massive, yeah. And then the big day out was huge after
that. Kurt Cobain was a real dick. That he was actually one of the biggest knobs in music.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I always quite liked him. It was one of the first CDs I ever bought was that Nevermind. Have you seen the kid now? You know how the cover of that album was a kid naked swimming, getting the money? And there's like he's recreated the photo now.
Yeah.
Has he?
Yeah.
I'll have to have a look.
It's good.
Yeah, he's good. Not a good operation.
Do you know what I did find interesting about 1992 though? And it's probably a bit boring, but I found it interesting.
Yeah. Oh, you got runner's fog.
Too much. You guys are trained too hard.
Interesting. Yeah. So in 1992 was the last year that the Winter Olympics and the Summer Olympics were held in the same year. I never even knew that happened, ever.
So it was Barcelona.
So from 1924 to 1992, the Winter and Winter and Summer Olympics were always held in the same year.
In the same place, different places.
No, different places, but held in the same year.
You'd be hard pressed to do Winter Olympics in bloody Taiwan, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Or wherever. Have they even done the Summer Olympics there? I don't think so.
No.
Well, they did in Seoul.
Yeah, you could have just used Barcelona as an example.
Yeah, but I was just looking. I mean, you could do a pretty good Winter Olympics out my window right now if I wanted to.
Are you in Barcelona?
No, but interesting fact on the Barcelona Olympics was where they did all the rowing and all the. Yeah, it was rowing only. Actually, or maybe I don't think kayaking was a thing in '92.
Yeah,
no, I don't think it was a thing in '92. Was it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Ferguson
on
won
Banyoles,
gold.
they made Banyoles Lake, which is the lake that all the cyclists ponce around on a rest day and ride around there and have a coffee and look like total punishers, is a man-made lake. They made that for the Olympics.
Well,
Yeah.
I was going to say, not only that,
right.
George, the whole waterfront there in Barcelona it was all industrial and it was all looking shit, and no one wanted to stay there, and they totally redid the whole waterfront that you know today at Barca as a result of the Olympics. So
And now
Barca
it's full of old men naked, strutting around with this saggy skin.
And do you know what else they did with that waterfront, Jones? Is those the palm trees on the Barcelona beachfront there?
Mhm.
They run along the boardwalk. They rent those. They lease them from the Caribbean.
Do they?
So,
Really?
So they actually, for the Olympics, they got those trees in from the Caribbean or one of the Caribbean islands somewhere, and they leased them. So they still now pay a lease on those palm trees.
They're paying rent on the palm trees.
They're paying rent on those palm trees.
So what happens if you fall behind on your rent? What are they going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Come and get it.
Come and get it.
A few fronds.
Yeah. But like every other Olympics, or most of them, they've got all these stadiums that are eyesores now. Like if you look at the stadiums and stuff from Athens, I mean, it's absolute dog's breakfast. But that was a good example of where a city's really benefited from the games.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rio was maybe the best example of a country and a city that did not need the Olympics.
Yeah.
That was a shocker. Man, that was bad. Like, you spent the money they spent on the water park. People can't afford, people aren't going to go to the water park and hoon around in a kayak. That's just a big, shitty eyesore now that sort of put people out of their homes. It's a terrible idea.
Well, they did well in Barcelona, like up on the hill there in Montjuic with the Olympic Flamers and the Olympic Stadium. I love it up there. It's a great stadium.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Went and saw the Rolling Stones at that stadium, actually.
You saw the Peppers as well, didn't you?
I saw the Peppers in the basketball court.
Maybe you did. No, I saw them at Montjuic at that stadium.
Not at the athletic stadium. No, you went the day before me, bro.
Oh.
You went on the Friday, I went on the Saturday.
Really?
Remember we were going to go down there together, and then you're like, "Oh no, sorry, I'm going today, not tomorrow."
Oh, I don't remember that.
The other big thing in '92 to come to Sale was we only had 2 TV channels. We had ABC and Southern Cross, and then that year we got SBS. So SBS is like the public broadcast service like ABC, but they play like exotic films and stuff. And this is obviously pre-internet. So that was the only chance to see boobs, was if you watched the right sort of French film at 11:30 at night. You just had to tape them and then fast forward until you saw it. But that was our only access back in those early days. Late night SBS, Friday, Saturday night. It all comes out.
There you go, 1992, world's boringest year.
No, do you know what happened?
No, hang on, music.
Do you know what happened in 92?
Music.
George Bush went to Japan to sort some trade deal out. George Bush Senior.
Yeah.
And they went to this big dinner. It was like 132 delegates held at the Prime Minister of Japan's house. And it was a steak dinner. And he passed out between the second and the third course. And then he vomited in the Prime Minister of Japan's lap.
I remember seeing that footage.
And then they came up with the Japanese came up with a term, and it's called bushu suru, which means to do a bush. And it's like in the Japanese dictionary now. So to do a bush is when you like publicly vomit at someone's.
Yeah, because there's footage of him coming to, and he just tries to brush it off, like he's in this guy's lap. And then he comes up and he goes, "Oh yeah, okay," and he just sort of gets back to it. The guy's covered in bloody carrots, and the guys just sort of, they're obviously trying to be really respectful, but they're all in like shock. There's people everywhere. Yeah, if you get on YouTube, search it.
George Bush's personal doctor came into the room, and they were going to take him to the hospital or something, and he didn't want to leave the delegation or whatever. So he said to the doctor, "Just roll me under the table and get me after dinner." So he just lay under the table.
Oh, what a balls up. What a Barry balls up.
And then Clinton took over.
Yeah. How did we go for music in 92, Bewls? Was it a good year?
It wasn't too bad. Look, we've had
some shockers.
As we know, people who listened to the show before, every year we pick has some absolute wounding music. But this wasn't too bad. Well, it wasn't great, but there's all right. Number 10, we had Just Another Day from John Cicada, who the fuck that is. All for Love, Color Me Bad. Under the Bridge, Chili Peppers, good song.
Oh, yeah.
No.
My Loving in Vogue. Tears in Heaven, Clapton, not bad. Bit of a sad story behind it, but a good song. Baby, 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 TLC. Don't know about that. Save the Best for Last, Vanessa Williams, don't know. Jump from Crisscross, not a bad song. Number 2, Baby Got Back from Sir Mix-a-Lot. That's a good tune.
Number 2.
Yeah, and number 1 was End of the Road by Boyz II Men.
Well, that's a classic.
That's a classic, yeah.
I give that 2 out of 10. There's a Clapton and a Chili Pepper song.
Yeah, 2.5 maybe.
I'm surprised that Baby Got Back was a big song, but I'm surprised it got to number 2. That's huge.
Yeah. What about movies? Any good movies that year?
White Man Can't Jump. I think The Bodyguard came out that year, didn't it?
The Bodyguard, I think, yeah.
Is that Marky Mark?
No, that's Kevin Costner. Whitney Houston and Kevin
What's
Costner.
happened to your camera, George?
Yeah, the sun. That's what I'm looking at. The sun is streaming in, and it is just wreaking havoc on the camera.
Yeah, that's
good to see you made an effort to fix it. You're just like, yeah, I know.
Well, you saw it, and it's washed out. You can't even see. He's just going, hey, it's the sun. It's like, tilt your screen, George. I think Aladdin was the big box office hit there, Bewls, in '92. That was huge.
Wasn't the Will Smith one, was it?
No. Robin Williams, mate. The original.
Speaking of box office hits, on the way over on the plane, I did the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I watched all 3 films back to back to back.
Well, that's a good segue for the Legend and Bellend, George.
Well, it is. And it made me think.
Explain the segment for our new listeners.
Well, each week we take a public figure and we decide, is he a legend or is he a bellend? I think it's quite self-explanatory there.
Yeah, but hey, some people might still be going, hey, what's this? What bellend?
Well, they might know what a bellend is.
Bellend's a wanker.
Dickhead.
Bell, dick.
Yeah.
Dickhead. And
yeah.
Looks like a bell.
I sat through the whole trilogy, and the whole time all I could think about was how conflicted I was about Smeagol.
So all I can remember, like watching Back to the Sale cinema stories, is that come out on Boxing Day every year, those Lord of the Rings. Like, remember the old Boxing Day routine, blockbusters, you go to the cinema, there's always 4 or 5 massive hits to choose from. And there was a big build-up.
That was your Boxing Day? I thought it was just bloody playing cricket. That was and watching.
No, you could roll a few overs in the morning, but then you go see one of the big box office smashes in Sale. And we had like this cinema that they hadn't done any upgrades on it since the 70s. It had like this sort of shag carpet on all the seats, shag carpet on the walls, and had that sort of musky sort of stink to it. And I remember me and about 4 mates rolled up to the cinema pretty pumped, but I knew I was screwed when the lady gave me my popcorn meal and handed me this Pepsi that was just warm as piss. I remember saying, I go, what's the story with this? Like, shaking it, there's no ice. She goes, yeah, sorry about that. The ice machine's broken. And I think they're just coming out warm as well. I was like, yeah, no shit. But I was dry because we'd had a big Christmas and, I'll just take warm Pepsi then. So we're going to the cinema and everyone sits down and everyone's saying, shit, is it warm in here? Like, what's going on? And as the movie went on and more people, like, it was packed, it just got warmer and warmer. The aircon had shit itself. So within the first 10 minutes of the film, it got so hot, everyone's just whipping their shirts off. The whole cinema's just filled with these dudes with all their shirts off. I think there was a couple of women just sitting in there with their bras out. And, it was just chaos. Something's happened there with George. He's had to get up.
He just got up mid-story and left.
There was like a shock.
Something was burning. Jeez.
So, talking about burning, we've all cooked up. I am seriously dripping in sweat. Someone's run out and said to the lady at the cinema, you're going to have to call time out on this shit. Like, people are dying in there. And so they've come in, called tea, let everyone out, stop the film, handed everyone warm bottles of water, chugging down the fluids, and watched the second half. Didn't get fixed. It was horrific.
That's the worst film to sit through. I think it was bloody 2.5, 3 hours or something. And when you sit through the trilogy, I think it's 9 hours of movie. You
Yeah, it
sit
is.
there and you're just trying to. You've had.
It's a great
you know,
9 hours, though. It's a great.
It was
9
good
hours.
9 hours.
So legend of Ballend.
Smeagol. So for me, I was quite conflicted about him because I liked one of his personalities. So I just
Gollum.
didn't really know who to, you know.
Do you
No, I
like
liked
him as
Smeagol.
Gollum?
I didn't like Gollum.
Oh, you didn't like Gollum?
Yeah, actually.
Well, Gollum
alright.
was the bad one. No, because Gollum was the one who killed his cousin for the ring, no? Originally.
Yeah, I just liked the drive. I just liked his drive and his ambition that Gollum had. Smeagol for me was just a bit wish-washy, and you know,
Smeagol was the one who was like pulling the trouts out of the river and stuff.
Yeah, but I just think they wouldn't have destroyed the ring without Smeagol, and a lot of people give him a bad rap. So I just want to go on to bat for him and call him a legend.
He was a bit conniving though. I remember one scene, didn't he, when he turned Sam and who's the other guy name? Frodo
against each other. But that was because of the ring, though. That wasn't really Smeagol, was it? Wasn't it the ring that turned them against each other?
Yeah, but I think you know
everyone
deals with temptation. You know, he's no different. Got to own it up.
Just quickly on that, have you seen they're remaking the Lord of the Rings? And I was thinking the whole way. I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, I wonder how they're going to do the remake and who they're going to put.
TV series, no?
Yeah, exactly. But like, I was thinking that like who should play the characters, and I just keep looking at at Samwise Gamgee and thinking that they'll put Ed Sheeran as him, and then they'll put like Robert De Niro as Gimli, and then they'll put who's the elf Legolas? They'll put I reckon they'll put like Justin Timberlake as Legolas. It'll be all this new age, like a new skin, and they'll make it
shocking.
It'll be filthy.
Yeah. So when is Peter Jackson involved with that or not?
No.
Okay. I think it's HBO.
Yeah.
Well, there's another example like Barcelona. All the sets were left in New Zealand that they filmed within it from The Hobbit. Like you can literally go where they filmed it, and it's all still the same shit.
Yeah, but ultimately the sets were just mountains and hills, effectively.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
So we'll whip round Legend of Ballend, and I'm gonna share as we come up to the hour mark, I'll share a theory that I've just sort of reached in the last few days with you, and it's probably quite a good thing, a good theory for cyclists to or travellers to get behind. So, what do you boys think? Firstly, on Smeags, finally, I'm going to say legend.
I'm going to say that I did absolutely no research on Smeagol because I don't know. I tried to, and I opened the Wikipedia page on Spiegel, and they talked about the books in 1924 and J.K. Rowling.
Sounded as boring as 1992, didn't it?
Yeah, and then they talked about J.K. Rowling and her hate for transgenders, and I gave up. So I'll just say
Harry Potter, but that's right. Okay.
So two legends and a ballend. The crowd has spoken. It's a legend.
Right. Yeah, last thing I was thinking, I just thought I wanted to just get your thoughts on my new approach that I just sort of stumbled across in the last few days, because now we're talking about New Zealand and it was how awesome it was to be back there and whatever, you know. Now I'm back in Europe and Caitlin's back in New Zealand. I won't see her for another 3 weeks. She's still coming over and stuff. And I was like, oh man, it's actually real hard to leave. And I've got here and I'm like, oh yeah, thinking, you know, like, I'm not homesick, but there's an element of like, oh, you know, still my mind's a bit back there, and I'm still kind of like, I'm just hurting a bit on swapping it for here. And like that used to be something that used to, you know, I used to always get real homesick and stuff. And then I haven't been homesick for years. I'm not really, you know. But what I was thinking is what I should have done in the last days or the mistake that I've made this year coming over is going out on a good note. I think what I needed to do was absolutely have a shocker, you know, in New Zealand. You know, I'm talking about when you know, if you're worried about missing someone for a while, start a massive fight with them just before you leave. And then you go, I can't wait to get the fuck out of here. Same with New Zealand. You know, instead of being in an awesome weekend with great people and great weather and a beautiful place, we went to Pawanui in the Coromandel for a night before I left, and I stayed in it. No, I should have gone to Invercargill and done a 6-hour training ride in a southerly and gone right along going, fuck, I just need to get out of here.
Well, this is continuing your theory on demons. You needed about 6 demons just before you left.
It's along the same lines. I mean, it's
do you not think
same school of thought.
Do you not think you'd regret the guilt that you'd have when you get on that? Like, because I agree. When you leave New Zealand, like you say goodbye to your mum and your dad, and whatever, and it's always a bit emotional because they're always a bit sad. And you get on the plane, and the first flight, like for me from Rotorua to Auckland, which is like 35 minutes, it's like punishing. You feel shit house. Yeah. And then like you get to the airport and you have a couple of beers and you get on the big business class seats and you feel a lot better about life, But you already feel bad because your parents are sad.
Sorry to all the plebs out there that are sitting in the cattle class. Billy's
like if you had a big blue with your old man and then you got on the plane, you would feel like fucking dog shit for
no. If it was a big enough blue,
like 11 months
fucking glad to be out of there.
I think
you would be so happy to be out of there. If you started it long enough out, you start the niggle, you look in your calendar, you give yourself a reminder on your phone, 1 week out, boom, reminder, start the niggle. Just a little bit. And then just let it build.
Get the undercurrent going.
Yeah, a little build. Listen to him eating loud, that kind of thing. All those things, just start it going. And then by Sunday, mate, you were so ready on that plane and you go, I just cannot wait to get there. Get there, my own house.
What if you did that in a productive way where if there was some simmering shit that was building up, save it because dump it with them just before you leave, because then you're leaving on a bit of a tense note, but then it could work in your favor because if you throw these barbs out that they agree to, you've left on a bit of a fizz, give them those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Then you've been dumped.
Yeah. You keep it all happy. And you had an awesome time. Then you get to the airport, and just as you're about to go through the boarding gate, you give your old man a hug and you go, "Fuck, you pissed me off."
Yeah, that's perfect.
So I just think that I'm just going to pencil in next year. I might put a little note on my phone now. Just start a bit of friction a week out, and just help myself prepare a little bit for what's on the other end of the plane when you get here. And instead of sitting in a quiet room going, oh, this is a bit different, I'm not sure about this, going, oh my God, I'm in a quiet room away from people, it's fucking awesome. Just help you embrace the other side of the plane.
Yeah, well, finish on a shitter. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to being part of that argument in 10 months' time.
Well, that's what I'm going to do on the other way. So I'll start a big biff with you just before I go home, and it'll be great.
Should we punch on or just argue?
Yeah, we good. Just argue. Probably lose the punch on. All right, boys. Well, there's a big sandstorm coming, so I'm going to have to get on the bike pretty soon.
Righto. Good show. Good to have you
we
back.
We could not finish this show without George going, righto, boys, need to wrap this one up. I've bloody got shit to do. Sorry, boys. Now, Billy's taking care of business. What do we tell people to do? See us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Follow us. Like, subscribe.
Like, subscribe on YouTube.
Yep.
Give us 5-star reviews on the podcast. Share the show. Do all that stuff.
So I did the opposite the other day. I was on a podcast yesterday with Matt Stevens, and he started asking about the podcast, and I just tried to tell as many people not to listen to it as possible because I was worried that the wrong ears would fall upon the podcast and it'll be in their cycling careers.
Would have happened by now. Wouldn't have happened by now.
No, there's still time.
Yeah, that's right. So are we going to dial up a bit of a regular schedule with the potty, or just keep winging it?
Let's not make
promises. Under promise, over deliver, Jonesy.
Yeah. Okay.
So we will do a show every now and again. That's our promise.
Okay. And we will have merch coming soon as well, so stay tuned.
Well, I can't wait for merch.
Well, at least with the merch, you can do the black shirt with the white fern. We can really cash in on your Nationals win, mate. Yeah, official George Bennett approved national champion merchandise. And Sam Bewley.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, boys.
See you soon.
Good show.
See you later.
See ya.